Hi guys, my name is Casey Darlene. I'm going to give you my acting tips today. Instead of giving you a list of tips I think I'm going to just kind of give you how I approach acting. I feel like acting is going to be different for every person. There are tips and there are lessons that I have learned through different acting classes or YouTube videos or whatever else that I feel like just don't work for me, and then others I feel like work great. So I feel like every actor kind of has to figure out what works for them when you're approaching acting. So this is how I approach it. I feel like the number one most important thing to understand and to grasp when you're acting is that you have to be in the moment and you have to be feeling what your character is feeling. Let everything that you've ever learned go. Let all of the methods you've ever been taught, let all of the thoughts that come around in your mind, like, oh, I feel like that was great, or oh, I feel like I wasn't really feeling it in the moment there, or whatever. You have to let all that stuff go and you just have to be feeling what your character is feeling. How I do that? I feel like, again, this is going to be different for every person, but for me, what I do is I actually pretend that I just wake up as somebody else. Just randomly some mornings. Some people recommend that you put yourself into your character and that your character is somehow part of you and you just bring yourself to whatever character you're portraying. I don't know if I'm just not getting it, but that tip does not work for me at all. That completely confuses me. I have to either be me or I have to be somebody else. I can't be both. When I try to be me and somebody else at the same time, I'm like thinking, of things that have happened in my life that can create the emotion I'm trying to create, and then I'm thinking of what's happening in theirs, and then I'm like, wait, which character am I? Am I Casey or am I somebody else? So it just completely confuses me, doesn't work at all. So what I do is I pretend that I have woken up as someone else. But something that's very, very important is that you absolutely must take your character seriously. I think the reason why people recommend you put yourself into your character is because they want you to take that character seriously and you don't want to think it's just somebody else. No, you have to really get involved in what that character is feeling, and you have to have an appreciation for that character, and you have to care about that character like you care for yourself, if that makes sense. You can't just blow it off like, oh, it's just somebody else. No, you have to really care about what that character is, what they're going through in their life at the moment. You have to be completely involved in the moment, right here, right now. You can't be thinking forward to your next line. You can't be thinking about what's going to happen next in the scene or what's going to happen next in your character's life, because that's inhuman. We don't do that as human beings. That's supernatural. So you have to be completely in the moment. Whoever your character is, you have to be there with your character, experiencing what they're experiencing, and you have no idea what's going to happen next, because you don't. And you never know. I mean, sometimes when you're acting, sometimes things happen in the scene differently than they were rehearsed, or whatever. So just feel what your character is feeling is the main thing. What I do is I take a piece of notebook paper out and I make a list. I answer all the questions: who, what, when, where, of the scene. Who is my character? What is their background? Did they have a good upbringing? Did their parents really show affection to them? Did they have good friends? Do they have good friends now? Just all the questions that you can think of that might define your character, you need to answer those in your mind. What's happening in the scene? What time of day is it? All of those kind of questions you need to make sure you have an answer to. Because that's really going to help you connect with your character. And that's really going to help you answer the why of your character. So you go into the scene, what does your character want? Do they want to convince the other person in the scene of something? Do they want to just get away? Do they want maybe a little bit of both? Maybe they're kind of confused. Whatever the scene is, what does your character want, and then why? What has happened in their life, or what is happening in their life, or what makes them this way that they would want this particular thing from this person or from this situation or whatever. You have to know that in your mind so that you can really just be involved in that scene, in that moment. Yeah. I feel like if you don't know why your character is doing what they're doing, how are you going to be convincing? You have to completely embody the person that you're portraying, the person that you have woken up as this morning. And I feel like that's just the most important thing. Be involved. Don't get too involved in the acting. Once you get into the scene, let everything go. Don't be thinking, oh, I felt like this line that I just did was pretty good, or, I felt like that one wasn't, as much how I would have wanted it. You have to let all of that go, and you have to just be in the moment. Don't be afraid to make mistakes, because people make mistakes. So therefore, your character that you're portraying should, in a sense, make mistakes. Maybe they should stumble over their words every once in a while, or something like that. And that's completely normal, because that's what human beings do. Just be. Just decide who your character is, decide why they're that way, why they feel what they feel, and just be that character. Just be in that moment in their life with them, and take them seriously. Don't treat it like a character in a scene. This is a person, this is their life. And they would really appreciate it if you took what they were feeling seriously. Whatever it is that you decide to feel for your character, there are people out there that really feel that for you. I felt like when I first started acting, the main thing for me was like, I don't know how I can make myself cry. How do you even do that? But I feel like what really opened me up emotionally for acting was to just realize that it's not about whether you can cry or not. It's about your character. Whatever character you're portraying, that has to be what's most important over everything else. It's not about how many tears come out of their eyes or whatever else. It's about what's happening in the scene. And there are plenty of people out there that are feeling, what your character is feeling. So you have to take emotions seriously. Or at least for me, I do. The only time I have ever just been myself in a scene and haven't been playing a character or putting myself into a character was actually a Freedrama.net monologue. So you can watch them and you can guess which one it is. I will give you a clue. It's not the Not So Perfect Child. I'm definitely a much more happy person than I portray myself to be in that monologue. I don't have a sister. I'm not angry at my mom. But yeah, that one was interesting for me. But yeah, that's pretty much it. That's how I approach acting. I hope that it helps you. If it doesn't, don't feel bad. Everyone's different. Everyone has their own way of approaching it, and I feel like everyone has to find that for themselves. But yeah, this is how I do it. You have to, it has to be completely new every time, every scene, every day you're on set. Every time you film a monologue, every time you do something pertaining to acting, it has to be completely new to you. Don't get too caught in a rut of, I have to do this, I have to do that, I have to think about this, and I have to think about that, and I have to go through this list of things to make this character come alive. No, what's going to make the character come alive is if you are alive. So just be. Just see what you need to do to make that character come alive through you. So yeah. That's about all I have to say. See you later.